Yes, please. Maybe I can give a short introduction to Professor Carlos Chavez. Yeah, so we were very happy to invite him to give a presentation today. He's a professor uh, in Chile, University de Talca. Sorry for my pronunciation. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, so yes, Carlos, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Juan. I also would like to thank Thong Ho, our colleague from Vietnam, who kind of initially recruited me for this activity in the context of our collaborative work within the Blue Resources for Development. So, yeah, my presentation today is related to an in-progress experimental work. This work is in collaboration with my colleagues and friend Jim Murphy at University of Alaska in Anchorage and John Stralmund at University of Massachusetts Amherst. We are working together in a long-term research project supported by the Chilean National Research Agency. And this project involved the design and implementation of several experiments in the lab and in the field to study behavioral aspects related to the management of common pool resources. So what I'm going to present today is our first experimental design, which was implemented in the lab here in Talca early last year. So this particular work had to do with the analysis of exclusion or ostracism in the context of common pool resources. And let me let me start with the very basic idea. The, 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 the presence of rivalry and absence of exclusion, we know, may generate overexploitation of natural resources. So one potential solution to this problem is to allow a group of agents to have the right of using and exploiting a given natural resource, which require for the groups defining operational and organizational rules and be responsible for the management of the resource, typically in a given geographical area. So here are some examples of this type of decentralized management mechanism that have been implemented in the past. Collective land titles is one typical example of this. Local use of protected forests is another one. And the third one here, and I put it in bold, is territorial use right in features, because most of what I'm going to discuss today, even the example that I plan to provide, have to do with an application of this idea of introducing a decentralized management mechanism for CPR in the context of fisheries and using the idea of creating and allocating turf rights. So in many of these CPR settings, either is collective land titles or management of forests at local level or turfs, the groups must devise rules for use of the resource and at the same time must control and deter encroachment. And this is an important aspect of this particular work. So there is a small number of studies of managing and defending CPRs from encroachment, but all of this small literature assume that the groups who are in charge of the management of the resource are fixed in numbers. So typically, there is a group of N participants that belong to the local organization, and this group is in charge of devising rules and protecting and managing the resource. So what we do here is we use the CPR context but we investigate how groups of resource users evolve endogenously in size through the exclusion mechanism or the ostracism possibility. And in particular, in our study, the excluded individuals become outsiders. I mean, they were initially members of this group, somehow they become excluded, and then when excluded, they become outsiders. They don't have access to the shared resource anymore. So it's exclusion or ostracism is a kind of a punishment to eventually motivate cooperative behavior. So in our study, we allow the excluded individual to encroach on the CPR, and then we implement an enforcement mechanism to provide deterrence. So we have groups. The group will be able to use ostracism or exclusion as a punishment mechanism, and then the excluded one will have, in some of our treatments, will have the opportunity to encroach. So we'll potentially have an active role.
Carlos, I think Subrendo, who is here, has a question, but I don't.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Subrendo. Hello.
Hi. So does it have to be size, or can it be some other dimension like ethnicity, or like, is it for people who are more like each other because they are from the same, like the indigenous people in southern Chile, right? And versus then there's some guy who's not exactly that, he's more Anglo-Saxon. So does it have to be, is it a function of really just the numbers, or is it like the identity and the cultural proximity?
Okay, well, okay. It could be other dimensions. In this particular study, what we consider is that we have an initial group which was created, or the group already exists, and then in the let's say in the daily life of this group, there is the possibility that behave in a way that is not the desired way good for the group. So the members of the group will have the possibility to expel some of them. Now,
because I was thinking, like, in Indian context, like if someone goes and has marries into another religion, right? Like, or outside of the caste, like they're Brahmins, and then suddenly they go and marry, they fall in love with someone else, and now then they are kicked out because they're like broken with the norms. It has nothing to do with the numbers. It's got to do with you're diluting our way of life, and like now you're going to eat pigs, and we don't eat pigs, and whatever it is, right? Like,
I think I share the idea that there could be different motivation for excluding people from groups, right? The one that we try to address here, with what we think is a reasonable lab control, is non-cooperative actions. Right? That's the focus of our study. And again, it's motivated with the idea that, let's say, I will develop a bit more later, but the idea that we have a union of fishers who are in charge of managing a resource, and then they need to solve the different management aspects of the related to the union activity. And then some of them may not behave in a cooperative manner, and then in the next meeting they will discuss and perhaps voting on expelling that member, which is actually is part of the rules in the unions that kind of inspire part of this work.
I'll come back to you. Yeah, I'll come back to you.
Okay. So the research question, the main research question here that we address is how does the ability to exclude and deter poaching affect the size of these groups the CPR coalition, the conservation of the resource, the level of poaching, and welfare in general. And of course, we draw from multiple literatures. We consider literature on self-governance and co-management of CPR, the literature on enforcement of harvest rule. We did a CPR coalition. This small literature on deterring encroachment by poachers from outside CPR coalition, and the literature on ostracism or exclusion, which is mostly on public goods. So that literature that consider ostracism in the context of public good generally find that the ability to exclude non-cooperative individuals improve public good provision and enhance social welfare. And I would say it's pretty extensive this literature, and of course there is a lot of variation in design aspects of this experimental work, but it's there, and there's this general result or finding from there. We were able to find only one study that considered ostracism in a CPR context. And that is a work from our colleagues Wisdom, Akpalu, and Peter Martinson. And this study was conducted with Ghanaian fishers. And what they found is that the ability to exclude those who overfish significantly curtails harvest. Now, our work has significant differences with this specific work, and I would say that the main difference had to do with the fact that in our study we give the possibility to the excluded one to have an active role and to encroach and poach from the CPR once they were punished by exclusion from the group, which is not considered in Akpalu and Martinson work.
Can I ask a clarifying question, Carlos? So
Okay,
in the calculation of the social welfare, you say it improves social welfare. Is the welfare of the excluded person also included, or is it now being subtracted because they're just bad people, so you don't add?
No, I think all the proper account is made. I mean, it includes welfare of the one that remain in the group, the excluded one, any additional cost of excluding people, etc. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So we allow for poaching from the excluded subject. So in many CPR contexts, those who are excluded may still poach from the resource. And of course, the gains from ostracized people could be eroded by poaching. And I would say that this is, at least if I make the comparison with Wisdom and Peter work, this will be the main difference, because in their study, the excluded one have no active role anymore. They're excluded and they, it's like they don't have any possible action or way to hurt or fire back to the group. Okay, so my example, briefly, this is just to do some concrete examples of these ideas that I already described. So I'm taking the example of the territorial use rights in fisheries in Chile, which was implemented in 1997. It's called here the Benthic Resource Management Area System. And under this system, fishers form a union or a coalition, typically are unions of fishers or cooperatives, and apply for exclusive harvest rights in a clearly defined zone. So have all these elements of the centralized management system, where the state or the government sign a contract with the union, which is a legal entity, and by this contract, the government give away under a concession a given geographical area, which after signing this contract will be in charge of the group. So the creation and function of this turf may exclude individuals, and once immediately they are excluded one, they become outsiders. And let me clarify here that there are two ways in which the system could create outsiders. The first one is when these unions are created, become legal entities, because some people may get excluded because they were not invited to join the group, or they were invited but decided that not to join. So it could be self-selection to be out, right? But then the operation of this system over time also may create a exclusion, because as I said, I have revised many documents, formal documents from these unions, and all of these unions consider the possibility of excluding members according their specific rules. And typically the exclusion possibility is related to the fact that members do not comply with the internal rules, which could be very different, right? Attending meetings, paying monthly fees for the operation of the union, cooperate on patrolling the areas, etc. So exclusion in real terms may show up because people do not become member early on of this group, or if they were member initially, they may be excluded over time because of their behavior.
Carlos, a quick question there about about the real case, but also about how you implement it in the experiment. I mean, is it possible for some of these guys that are excluded and become outsiders to be admitted after some years back into the organization? And is there something similar possible in your experiment? I mean, I'm thinking about the poaching, right? And how that could be, if it's a game that is played more than once, then you behave because you might be invited again.
Yeah, well, I've seen different rules in this document, in this legal document, which are the kind of the rules of functioning of the union. But I do remember now that mostly the possibility of expelling do not consider reincorporation. I presume that it could be, right? But I don't remember of a lot of example of considering the expulsion for a period and then reincorporation after that period. What I have seen is the word that they use is not expulsion, it's suspension. And that it resembles, I think, what you are describing. A suspension will be you have a punishment that will keep you out of the union for a while, for a given period, in which you are suspended, and then you become active again. But legally, you were never excluded totally, right? You have a punishment for a period, for a short period of time. So when to try to answer more clearly, when there is expulsion, I haven't seen the possibility of reincorporation to the group. So we will return to this later on, Alejandro, if you are okay. So I hope I'm still connected and you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So for this organization, the real one now, the Chilean turf, the success depends upon the ability to solve collective action problems we have to do with harvesting, and the ability to prevent poaching by outsiders. And that means they have a responsibility on monitoring and enforcement. So in the Chilean context, these are big numbers. So we have something like about 800 turf with a decree that means that these are legal turf that were already created, and some of them, or most of them, were already allocated to unions. So out of these 800 legally created turf, something like three quarter are already allocated to unions and are working. And also we know that there are other turf under the process of being requested from unions. So the unions were created and they already asked the government to legally create the turf and allocate it to them. So it's a significant amount of these areas along the coast of the country, and there is demand for more demand for space for this turf, which is growing over time. So here is a scheme, a figure that try to suggest how this works. So the blue people here are the members of the union. Somehow they create this legal entity, the cooperative of the union, request to the government a territory over the coastal space. They sign the contract with the authority, and then this create outsiders, and the outsiders could emerge at the starting moment of this turf or over time by the mechanism of exclusion that I already described. So of course, in practical terms, what have happened is a lot of conflict in some specific areas. Typically is in the more rich, dense, with benthic resources, the one that this is being exploited. Conflicts relate mainly to the use of the territory and illegal extraction. So the control, in the real turf, in the Chilean context, the control, according to the law, could be performed by the Navy and the National Fisheries Service, but it's rare, and there is very low level of monitoring. We have captured this with, I don't know, 1,000 surveys to different features in different locations along the coast of the country in different rounds of field work. And basically the reason is that the capacities to enforce in the coast are not there, and they are typically the perception of these features that belong to this organization that they are in charge. So and that's why I put this last line here, that it's the turf members, the one that monitor themselves, or in some cases they are more sophisticated and hire a third party to perform the monitoring and enforcement on behalf of them. And of course there is a payment, a salary involved there. So yeah. So is poaching a problem in the context of this turf in Chile? Yeah, well, this is illegal activity, right? So there is just few, I would say two, I'm aware of two estimations that suggest that the illegal harvest of some of these more valuable benthic resources may be as much as the legal harvest. So there are three sources of illegal harvesting in this context. One is that the outsiders may enter in the turf, encroach, and take the stuff from there. The other possibility is that the insiders harvesting more than their share, and by their share I mean what they agree to take, in the way that they agree to distribute the resource among the group that they have. And the third possibility in the Chilean context is that there is harvesting outside of a turf, which is banned. In our context, the harvesting outside these territorial use rights is prohibited for some resources. The main one is abalone, wild abalone. So our work somehow related to the possibility of outsider encroaching, poaching, and insider not behaving in a cooperative manner, right? In taking more than is their share, according to some internal norm. Okay, so. Let's move now to the experimental design. So what we did is we develop a small conceptual model, theoretical model, that involved endogenous evolution of a CPR user group, coalition members vote to expel other members, that is exclusion ostracism. In some of our treatment, the outsider may poach the resource, and we include an exogenous monitoring effort and a fine for encroachment, representing the idea of some type of co-management. So the state will be there to provide the monitoring and penalty, or is the state with the group of insiders that protect the turf. So we test the hypothesis from the theoretical model with Chilean University students in the lab. This is a lab work. And here are a bit more details of our design. So we start the game in any of the treatment with a group of players of size 6. So that's 6 people in the group. And the group may evolve over time by the possibility of exclusion or ostracism. So what the insiders will do in the experiment, they have, all of them have in every round an account that we call private account with 5 tokens. And the insider also owns what we call as a shared account. That is the account that belongs to the members of the group. And in this share account, there are 30 tokens. So the decision that the insiders must make in a first stage of the game in every round is they must decide what they want to do with the tokens that they have, and they can use some or all of none of the token that they have in the private account to withdraw from the insider share account. And of course, immediately when they decide how many tokens they want to use from the private account to take or withdraw from the share account, immediately is defined the tokens that remain in the private account. And we create the insider have a linear payoff. We use a linear payoff like the one I'm showing here, which allow us to create this idea of a social dilemma, right? That it will be it will be good. I mean, each insider will get income by keeping tokens in the private account. They also get income by withdrawing from the share account. This is, and the income per token withdraw from the share account is beta, while the income from the token that they keep in the private account is 1. And then they also, every member in the insider group get income from the tokens that remain in the share account after all the withdrawal. And the withdrawal here could be from the insiders, and in the treatment where there is the possibility of poaching, the withdrawal could be also from the outsider who will poach. We also include a cost for exclusion, representing the idea that if there is going to be some control, that control would be costly, or keeping the outsiders, outside and control it is costly. So again, with this structure, we create this social dilemma where the dominant strategy by each of insider is to allocate all of the tokens to withdraw from the share account, while the social solution to this problem is to keep all the tokens in the private account and not withdraw anything from the share account. So the design also considers the possibility.
Carlos.
Yeah. Yes.
So I'm just parking this question, and you and I will have to have a separate chat sometime. But your contribution is on the endogeneity of the group size, right? That you're going to throw people out and all that. But the very definition of insider outside could be outsider could also be endogenous, right? That And that's what I'm wondering if you know that, some identity economics literature like Granton and Akerlof, or I think you have an ability to contribute to a bigger, the world is now about insider, outsider, and like othering people. And so just saying it's exogenous is too convenient, right? And it falls short of where we could go in the future, right? Like, because we have made people outsiders, like actively, not like we were born outsider, insider, right?
Okay. That's fair. Okay. So we have the insiders in the way that the group starts with insiders. That is exogenous, right? And then we include the possibility that this group, while after observed behavior, let's say in a second stage of each of the period, the insider will have the chance to vote to punish members. And in our design, they can vote to ostracize up to one individual in every round. And and if successful, we include a majority rule here. At least 50% of the a person need to receive at least 50% of the insiders' votes to be removed from the group. And then if they become outsiders, then we'll have 5 tokens, and they will, in some of the treatment anyway, they will decide what to do with the private tokens, and they will have 2 options. They keep this token in the private account or withdraw from the shared account, which means they will have the opportunity of poach from the shared account. In some of the treatment, the poaching possibility is without control. In another treatment is with control, with monitoring and enforcement. And of course, the outsiders do not earn money from the insider share account. The insider share account belong to the insider, and they enjoy the flow of return from that share account. So to deter the withdrawal from insider in some of the treatment, we introduce this exogenous monitoring and fine that is sufficient. In our case, we parameterize this so that is sufficient to create deterrence, full deterrence. So here is I'll try to move a bit faster now. Here is an example of what I'm saying. I mean, in treatment 1, in the baseline, we start in round number 1 with 6 members in the group, and they hold this share account that is on the right. So they decide what to do with the 5 tokens that they have. And at the end of the round, in this example, there are 16 tokens that remain. And each of the member of the group will receive 2 experimental pesos for each of these 16 tokens. That is an income for every member of the insider group from the share account. But they also, each of these individuals receive earnings from the tokens that they decide to keep in the private account, and the tokens that they withdraw from the share account. So, and again, this payment for experimental pesos for each token withdraw, 1 experimental peso per each token that is kept in the private account, and the 2 experimental pesos per each token that remain in the share account are set in a way that create this social dilemma that I already described. So the key aspect, the key element of the baseline treatment is 6 subjects per group, 30 tokens in the share account, is the same in every round. Each person can withdraw up to 5 tokens per round. The payment is 1 experimental pesos per token in the private account, 4 experimental pesos per token in the share account, 2 experimental pesos from tokens that remain in the share account. It's not possible to expel group members in the baseline treatment, so there is no ostracism, no communication, complete information on tokens allocated and earnings. And our design considers 4 activities of 10 rounds each. This was a way to collect more data, right? So we repeat the same game 4 times, and in every activity there are 10 rounds, and this is known by the participants. We change the ID in every when we start every activity. The idea is to make difficult or impossible for them to track individual while they are playing the game. So our treatments, we have the baseline. Baseline is just harvest decision. It's a standard CPR game. Everyone is insider. There is no exclusion and no communication. In our second treatment, we add to the baseline ostracism, and the insiders will vote whether to exclude, but there is no poaching. So it's costly for insider to exclude someone, and outsider did not receive benefit from blue share account. Then we have our treatment 3, which is same as treatment 2, but we add poaching. Now the excluded one, the ostracized, can poach without control. There is poaching in this treatment, but no enforcement. So we have both whether to exclude, ostracize, can poach, and no enforcement. And then our final treatment include the possibility of ostracizing insider members. The excluded one can poach, but there is an exogenous enforcement device here. There is a monitoring and a sanction. And the monitoring is imperfect, but along with the fine for a risk-neutral individual will be enough to deter.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
So your, do you have any demographics on, I know Talca students are just like everybody else in the world, but are there men, women, first year, senior?
Yes. We collect at the end of the 4 activities. We apply an online survey. Yeah. And
so you know something about them?
Yes.
Do you look at results by those groups or no? Not at all.
We are completing this, as I said initially. This is an in progress. So we have the basic result already, and we are now performing the statistical result, in which case we are including some of the social demographic information for the analysis.
Because one way to test my hunch about insider outsider is if the boys are all voting the girls out, or the girls are voting the boys out. Some other, right? Like who is? That's an easy one, right? Like because there's gender is one definition of.
Yeah.
Although
within the game they don't know the let's say the identity of the other players. They know a letter of identification.
They're not sitting in the same room.
They are sitting in the same room, but the allocation to the places in the room is random, and they cannot track who is who. And we have 2 groups in the room. It's in a concurrent session. So these are our hypotheses. So our first hypothesis is relative to the baseline treatment. We expect that the blue group, the insider, will shrink in order to punish non-cooperators. So we expect that the people will use the opportunity to punish others if they do not cooperate. The second hypothesis is that withdrawal from the blue resource will be reduced, and insider earnings will increase in treatment 2, the one that considers ostracism, relative to the baseline treatment. Our third hypothesis is that withdrawal from the blue resource will increase, and earnings will decrease in treatment 3, where we have the poaching, relative to treatment 2. Then our fourth hypothesis is that withdrawal from the blue resource will decrease, and earning will increase in treatment 4, because it includes enforcement, and this is of course relative to treatment 3, which is considered poaching without control. And finally, our fifth hypothesis is that poaching from ostracized individuals will be lower in treatment 4 than in treatment 3. So The participants in the experiment were Chilean university students. We bring to the lab 288 students, divided in 48 groups. And each session consists of one treatment. And we have these two 6-person groups in the room. We include 4 stages and 10 rounds per stage. All stages and rounds were identical. The experiment was implemented in the lab using computers, and the instructions were pre-recorded using PowerPoint. So this is the way. I'm sorry because I didn't have the time to fully translate this, but this describes the kind of the structure of an experimental session. So we have instruction initially, right? Explanation of the activity, signature of consents as required by the ethical committee of the Universidad de Talca. Then we start. We have some practice rounds and answer questions from the participant, and then we start with these 4 activities. And the 4 activities, each of the 4 activities have 10 rounds. And we basically the activities are repetition. The activity 2 is a repetition of activity 1, 3 is a repetition, etc. And the only change is that we modify the identities that we gave them for each activity. And at the end, we ask them to complete a survey where we capture some socioeconomic information and also some ideas, opinion, perception about participating in groups and being excluded from group, etc. So in the remaining, I don't know, minutes that I have, I will show you results. I don't have any estimation. It's just graph. And I think we can move quickly, and hopefully it will be a clear, will give you a clear idea of our preliminary result, the result that we have already. So the first one is we look here at the what happened with the group size. So we have our 4 treatments. These are 4 graphs. Each graph represents the result for each treatment during the 4 activities, 10 rounds per activity. In the baseline, there is no ostracism, so 6 members, right, for each of the activity, always. Then when we include ostracism, but no poaching, you can see that there is a reduction in the number of insiders, and the same also can be observed in the other treatment. So the blue group size shrinks relative to the baseline, and we know I don't have the evidence to show you, but our statistical analysis or preliminary statistical analysis allow us to state that the one that are excluded and the one that harvest more. We have some preliminary estimation on the probability, what determines the probability of being excluded. And this is pretty much related to behavior, deviation in the behavior in terms of withdrawing from the share account from what the other in the group are doing. So group shrink, people is using ostracism to punish members, and they are doing this to punish non-cooperation. Now, what I'm showing is the result related to what happened with withdraw from the share account. So how much people is taking from the share account, and you can see here when in treatment number 1 in our baseline typical CPR, the highest withdrawals levels among the four treatments, and of course this is not new. This is expected. Then when we introduce the ostracism, the withdrawal decrease, and we interpret this as given this group the possibility to sanction, to exclude members, that is working as a mechanism to induce more cooperation. Then if you see in treatment 3, there is the result there for the poaching treatment, and with poaching things get worse again, right, as compared with treatment 2. And this is because now the excluded one can have the active role, can poach without control, and they poach. And then in treatment 4, things seems to improve again as compared with treatment 3, and the reason here is that there is a mechanism to control poaching. So now here I'm showing you the poaching behavior, and you can see that this poaching is only possible in treatment 3 and treatment 4. And what we observe here is that in treatment 3, without any control to deter poaching, there is a significant level of poaching. And then when we introduce enforcement, the enforcement reduces poaching, but it does not eliminate it. So there is, let's say, less violation, less illegal activity, but it's not fully eliminated. Well, this has been observed in some other studies related to compliance behavior. So, and this is my last set of graph with result. This show the earnings per player, this average earning per player. So consistent with what I already described, the lowest level of earning is in treatment 1, when there is the possibility of excluding insider members, earnings increase. And then poaching create problems because it reduces, in this case, it's insider earnings. And then with enforcement, things improve again and close to what we observe in treatment 2. So we are, as I said, we are conducting now the statistical analysis, the formal tests for the 5 hypotheses. Preliminary results kind of support what I already described verbally. So the insiders could not coordinate their harvest in the absence of exclusion. Resource users vote to ostracize other members to punish non-cooperators. So we observed smaller insider group size. The extraction was high in the absence of the exclusion threat and also under uncontrolled poaching. Enforcement did reduce poaching, but did not eliminate it. And we are, as I said, we are still working on additional data analysis and extension of this work. And perhaps if I have a minute, I can tell you what are the extension. We are also now considering the possibility of not only exclusion but inclusion, because this organization can also have the possibility, the Chilean tool have also the possibility to accept new members. So we want to, to study how people react under that possibility. So this is my last slide. So thank you very much for your attention. I also want to acknowledge the team of students from Universidad de Talca who helped us to implement the experiment. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Carlos. Yes, so I think we have 10 minutes left, and we welcome questions and comments. So for the online participants, please leave your questions in the chat box and I will collect that. And then for questions from Gothenburg, yeah, please go ahead. Subarandu, I guess you have.
I can keep asking questions, but I want to encourage outsiders to participate in this insider activity. Carlos and I are old friends, so let's.
I have a question.
You're an insider.
Okay. Let the others in then first.
I don't think there are anything.
I mean, maybe, I don't know. Alois or someone has a question too, I suppose they can also unmute themselves, or is that not allowed here? Or
but you can start while they gather their questions. So, so you can start.
No, I mean, I think this is a very interesting, and the results, I mean, it seems to be very kind of technically well implemented, this study, etc. The result seems to be a bit as you expected, right? With the kind of results from the things. So what I'm curious about, which could be kind of some of the policy issues here, is the links to national level policies. Normally we talk about this polycentric governance, and these turfs don't exist in a vacuum, kind of. So what can kind of the national level do to facilitate this enforcement possibilities, or exclusion possibilities, or I mean, how do you embed it in a kind of a national system for these turfs?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Thank you, Daniel. Just and a difficult one at the same time, right? I mean, this specific research at this stage is, triggered by let's say initial basic curiosity, how we can inspired by actual system of decentralized management, and the combination with this possibility of ostracism, learn on how people behave. But let me try to address some of the things. I mean, taking for example the result that when you have outsiders, the outsiders will likely have an active role, and that active role may be knocking the door to be admitted in this group. But if they are not incorporated in this group, they may kind of fire back and start to poach. Then there is a clear link, I think, and a policy implication, right? Because this group, as I said, one of the complaints that the actual groups have is that they are by their own. I mean, the state is not present. The state is far away. When we call them, they won't come, or they will they will visit us when there is no poaching, etc. So here are some ideas. I mean, in our experiment, we introduced this idea of kind of co-enforcement, right? Because we don't tell exactly from where this monitoring is coming and who is putting this sanction. But that could be linked immediately to governments, or local authorities. They can do it by themselves, improving, patrolling capabilities, or they may support to improve the monitoring capabilities of the organization, like, for example, providing monitoring systems, right, or supporting partially, at least funding partially, monitoring system, like boats that have the capacity and speed to patrol, strict, lights to use at night in the ocean, perhaps radio equipment to coordinate patrolling, or even coordinating different organizations in a given geographical areas. So I think there are links. I mean, I'm kind of forcing myself, because of your question, to think on how this can, inform policy action. But I think there is a side of policy action here, beyond the pure idea of trying to answer the question how exclusion may work here in CPR context. That would be my answer for now.
Thanks. Jorge asks for intuition of why enforcement cannot totally eliminate poaching. Yeah, maybe because of high cost of monitoring, and is wondering any possible solution for that.
Okay. Why enforcement cannot totally eliminate poaching? Okay. Well, Okay, this result is not unique in this study. I have seen this kind of behavior in other experimental work that deal with compliance behavior. So it's kind of a regularity. I think the prediction, the pure theoretical prediction that with the fine and the monitoring effort, there will be full deterrence is coming from a theoretical model that is incomplete, right? And that there are other factors, I think, in human behavior related to why not follow. I won't follow the rule when there is, in principle, conceptually, there are these basic elements that should produce deterrence. Risk preferences, maybe. I think that there are things that affect human behavior that are not in this basic model, which allow us to predict full deterrence. But I'm speculating. I don't know exactly what is behind that.
Yeah, so maybe me myself, I also I understood maybe kind of your model is implicitly assuming that the cost of monitoring is the same for the government. So, but only their ability is different.
Okay, but the way I understood the question is okay. In our experiment, we introduced two things: the idea that there is costly to exclude, and this somehow try to represent the idea that there is the need of some actions to control the outsider, right? But we also include by design this exogenous fine and monitoring effort. And in theory, regardless of the cost of implementing that, that fine and that monitoring should be sufficient to deter poachers, because the benefit of poaching are way lower than the expected fine. Right? And what I say is that, I mean, my understanding of the question is why we observe still with that design, we still observe some poaching. I mean, there is a reduction in poaching, but we still observe poaching. Well, this is a regularity in several studies, and my explanation is that the model that create the prediction is incomplete. There are other things that affect behavior, right?
Thank you.
But that's regardless of the cost.
Okay, that clarifies my question, but I'm not sure if Jorge is satisfied or not.
Jorge can return. I mean.
Is I'm totally satisfied. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I see that the time is up. So let me ask if we have more questions or comments.
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay, please, Randu.
So, Carlos, I think along the lines of Jorge's question, if you look at your T2 and T4 graph, they are kind of similar. So that is suggesting that the enforcement is mostly offsetting the poaching ban. You would think that in theory, like this is a control thing, so they look very similar to me. They were. So I think that was just a comment. And then the other thing was, we should probably apply this model to how NBR has emerged, right? They keep kicking out everybody who's not an insider. But I think, jokes aside, I was thinking whether the CPR literature is the relevant one, or, if you look at the 2x2 matrix, we have private goods, public goods, CPR, and club goods. I think there may be more in the club goods literature, right? Because ostracism is a form of it becoming a club, right? And so there may be some modeling there that you could borrow that without having to fully write out all these things. And I don't do this for a living, so I can't give you the citations right away, but I would think that that's the quadrant in which you are moving, right?
Yep.
away from CPR, more into club, because now you've got the Fisher's Club kind of, right? And so that maybe there's something to borrow in that.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Thank you.
And we should send this to NBR and say, stop excluding people.
Okay, thanks a lot. And also, I will look again on the poaching thing. What I have in my mind is the graph. I'm now going back to the poaching thing. Is that without control, poaching is high for those who are poaching, right?
Correct.
Capacity with enforcement that conceptually should be enough to completely deter. The poaching is not zero. It's positive. But
yeah, I agree. But if you look at T4 and T2, they don't look statistically different. They look like almost the same graph. When you do the actual statistical test, the confidence intervals may not.
No, that's correct. Okay.
That was 90% of the question. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Carlos, for a very interesting presentation, and thank you all for your attention. Thank you.
Okay.
We may
Thank
see
you,
each
Carlos.
other.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a good
Thanks
day.
a lot.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye, Jorge.
Bye.